Welcome, everyone, to another Dave Cooper Live, where we bring you the people, the products, and the process, helping us all to build it better. And today we ask, can your next home be designed and built to be affordable and recyclable? With the push for solar, electrification, insulation, and green material, homes will be getting greener, cheaper to build, and cheaper to run. Wondering why homes are so expensive and why they aren't designed for the way we actually live? Please welcome Gon Zafroni on the launch of Era, an opportunity to accelerate healthy home ownership financially and responsibly, today on Dave Cooper Live. But first, we have a special announcement from Ryan Kolker, Vice President Innovation from the International Codes Council, and they have a lot going on starting this week, Friday, with their Offsite Construction Summit in Washington, D.C., which we will also be attending, alongside the Innovative Housing Showcase event organized by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we will be bringing all of that to you live from Washington, D.C. in just a few days. All right. So before we get into it, I would like to thank our sponsors. So let's take a moment and thank them, because we cannot continue to bring all of these innovative people on our show without them. Here they are. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Halleck Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their Machine Buyer's Guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, halleckltd.com. All right. Once again, thank you to all of our sponsors. Really, we can't do this without you. So let's hop into it. We got a lot going on, starting with Washington, D.C. So let's bring on Ryan Kolker. Ryan.
Hey, up, Dave.
Man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great. Doing great. Ryan, before we get into it, just so everybody knows who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have going on in Washington, D. at the International Codes Council and what it's about, just a little bit, and then we're going to get into what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Kolker, Vice President of Innovation at the International Code Council. I direct our Center of Focus on Energy Resilience and Innovation, really getting to look at a lot of the exciting things that are happening in the industry and how ICC in particular can help move them forward. And one of those exciting areas is offsite construction. And so really recognizing the opportunities that offsite provides to address affordability, sustainability, workforce challenges, and all those things. The Code Council, working with HUD, is pulling together a offsite construction summit on Friday afternoon as a kickoff event to the Innovative Housing Showcase.
Yeah, so this is going to be exciting. I'm actually packing my bags. I'll be leaving early in the morning to get down to Washington, D.C. Ryan, I think this is going to be a great opportunity because you've agreed to allow us to come check out what you guys do at the International Codes office there and really talk about, what are you doing and what the importance of offsite construction is to the ICC, modern methods of construction, whatever we're talking about. But on top of that, we're also going to be talking about how people can get involved with you. So this is going to be a fun week to really share what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you mentioned, we've got several different things going on within the Code Council to help move offsite construction forward. So yeah, glad to have you there.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the summit? I believe there's a virtual way to attend as well, but it's by invite only, right?
Well, if folks are interested, you can certainly register if you'll be in DC. We'd love to have you. But it will be streamed online as well. So if you can't make it, definitely check out the live stream. So we've got a pretty packed agenda. We're going to talk a little bit with HUD on sort of what their vision is around offsite construction. Where do they see things moving forward? We'll have Dave Tompos from ICC NTA, a third-party plan review and inspection agency, sort of having that conversation. with HUD on sort of what they're thinking about. And then we'll have a couple panels. One really looking at the challenges and opportunities in offsite construction. So we'll have some manufacturer representatives. We'll have some state modular program representatives, really to get into sort of where is offsite construction really providing some opportunities for the industry. And then the next panel will actually look at some of the solutions, both on the policy side and on the finance side, to really drive offsite construction further. One of the things that we're particularly focused on at the Code Council is the tools that really make offsite construction work from a regulatory perspective. If we're thinking about factories that deliver regionally, assuring that consistent requirements are in place from state to state is really important. And so we'll be talking about those types of solutions, including through the use of ICC MBI standards 1200 and 1205. So that'll be a really interesting panel with Fannie Mae, Salt Lake City, HUD, State of Virginia, and others. And then I'll have a conversation with Ryan Smith, who's been a researcher in the offsite construction space for a long time. We'll talk a little bit about trends, where things are going, and then some of the work that they're actually doing with HUD as well on a research roadmap and a strategic plan. And then we'll wrap up with Dennis Shea from the Bipartisan Policy Center to share what he's been seeing in the housing space and the particular opportunities that offsite construction provides.
So, Jen has all the things up on the screen that and all the people that are presenting there. What's the ultimate goal of this summit, Ryan, for you guys?
I think from our perspective is getting to that state consistency. If we're looking at really having efficiency in the offsite construction process, the regulatory process needs to be just as efficient. And so through the use of updated standards, use of third parties, we can really unlock that entire efficiency platform that offsite provides.
Yeah. How important is it for people to be involved in the policy making, in the decision making? Like, how involved can somebody really get with the ICC?
Yeah, so there's certainly a variety of different ways. I mentioned the standards development themselves, and so assuring best practices, those sorts of things are incorporated into the standards themselves is really important. So would definitely love to have participation in the standards development process. But then engaging your local policymakers. I mean, if you're looking at a project within a community and they haven't updated to the ICC MBI standards, and you see that as a benefit to your project and your factory, engage them, have that conversation.
Now, is this just about modular, or is this about systems in general?
So the ICC MBI standards cover closed construction, so panelized, volumetric. We also do have solutions for some of the other modern methods of construction, including 3D printing. We have an acceptance criteria through our evaluation service that looks at the materials that are used in 3D printing, whole host of other solutions for innovative products to help them get to market.
Yeah, for sure. So not only do you have the summit going on, but there's some other exciting stuff going on, and that is the housing summit. So not only can we come and talk about, new ways of building, modern methods of construction, industrialized construction, what anybody wants to call it, you can also come down and actually see it on the mall, which is only I think a 10-minute walk from your office or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be an exciting opportunity. I think there's, 15-ish or more various different innovations that are to be on the National Mall and, right by the Smithsonian, Washington Monument. So a great location. I think the HUD secretary is even hosting a house party with music and some other exciting events on Saturday. So if folks are in the area, definitely check it out.
Awesome. Ryan, is there anything else you want to let us know before we move on and have Era back on?
Definitely appreciate the opportunity. Offsite construction is great and exciting. And if folks are interested in joining the live stream, hope to see you there. And Dave, I'll talk to you in the next couple of days.
Yeah, the link's right down below. In fact, I will see you at your office tomorrow afternoon. So everybody stay tuned. We'll be posting a lot of stuff. We'll be talking to Ryan and so many more down there. We're even going to be at the National Housing Museum where the summit is as well. That's going to be super exciting too.
Great. Thanks.
Ryan, Thanks so much, man. Have a good one. If you want to stick around, we can bring you back on later in the show and have some fun. But if you're busy, you're busy. You got a lot going on in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Ryan. Bye now. All right, now let's get into today's programming. We're going to bring on Gon Zifrone from Era. Gon, thank you and welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks so much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, well, we're so grateful to have you here. Steve Burrows was going to join us as well, who's also part of and the co-founder of what you're doing. So I definitely always want to give Steve some shout outs because he's a legend in this industry. And but there's a baby on the way. So priorities. And what I love about Steve is family's always first too. And that's cool.
Yeah, I think Steve is amazing. So it goes well, I think, beyond family.
Yeah.
There is an element that, we have 20 years difference.
Right.
And we met actually through LinkedIn. We met through our passion, and Steve has the ability to expand, which is just incredible, right? So his passion, his vision is so aligned. Like we're like two eagles, have been shaping this path forward, and I'm just super excited to share it with the world.
Yeah, well, that is exciting. Both of you, I think, are just really playing at a very high level. So let's get into this. All right, Gon. Let's start off. I want to know your background. So we want to know everything about you.
Sure.
From the moment you were born to this very moment in time, Gon. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we will have a family member on, and it'll get quite embarrassing. Or maybe I'll just leave Steve on by himself, and Steve could tell me some stuff. But you only have 2 minutes to do it. So the floor.
No problem. The hospital was being bombarded just a few weeks ago. So I come from Israel, and I grew up in a kibbutz called Kfar Aza, which was in the news recently. There's lots of tensions right now there. But anyway, my family decided to move when I was 8-year-old. And we moved to Belgium. So, from the Israeli mindset to a European mindset, there was a big shift. And then I moved again. I moved to Holland when I was 18, and I studied there. I did 2 studies, had an architecture office for about 1.5 years, built a house for my parents. And then 2008 happened, and the ground was opening up below our feet. Anyone that was kind of in something slightly artistic was going to be in trouble. And so, we saw investments in construction just completely freeze. All of the public funding froze. And so I said, okay, there's not going to be any building for a time. So I switched to tech, and I went first to Singapore, then to San Francisco, and eventually started my first company. This is 12 years ago. And I had a whole career in tech, and now I'm back to marrying the two and using tech to help alleviate some of the biggest constraints we have in the industry.
Let's talk about Era. What is Era? How did it come about? How did two eagles meet in the middle of the sky and say, we're going to create something bigger and badder and better than what's already out there?
Yep, 100%. So first of all, what was the trigger, right? And I think it's quite important for the founding of this company because it shapes how we are viewing and deciding everything we do. The trigger was I looked at the situation. This is April last year. And this is after crypto has basically put millions of families at risk because we've taken a huge amount of risk. And then all the stocks started to tank. And the situation that I knew that I was in, I was working at Autodesk, large company, big corporate America, doing well, had a good job, 150 people, pretty comfortable. Whenever I'm comfortable, and this is an Israeli thing, whenever I'm too comfortable, I'm starting to say what's gonna go wrong next. And so when this crisis, this poly crisis or multifaceted crisis, whatever we called it, when it started, I was like, this one is not gonna be a simple one to go through. And how many of these crises can we go through and survive? And I knew I could do something about it. So I started checking the facts. I had built a home for my parents who, basic upbringing I had, right? My mom is a teacher. My dad is a security agent. He did the military for many years, so he naturally continued. And so they bought land. For 13 years, they weren't able to build on it because the architect designed something that they cannot afford, right? Because there is no way to actually know what a house actually costs. Even after the fact, we can't even precisely say how much it actually costs. So we set out to actually solve this problem, to give people full control of the total cost of ownership so that they can control not only the building and the first cost, but also how much it's going to cost them every month to run this home, right? And that includes, of course, energy, right? We all talked for years, we talked about reducing energy and controlling energy and building passive homes, etc. That is all wonderful. It's an art. It's well understood. The principles are pretty simple. Once you get there, at least for architects, they are obvious now. But the second thing is maintenance, right? And as we, homeowners know, you don't think about it for the first home, but very quickly after year 2, year 3, you start to hit those big bills, right? And I'm not talking about those, the yearly taxes. I'm talking about the maintenance you need to do in your home to keep it uptight and keep it working. Today, the situation for homeowners, they're all looking at, getting the gas stove out and putting, and making all these replacements, these green upgrades to get their home to be energy efficient and climate ready, right? So these things are not going to go away. They're going to get worse, more expensive. And we've seen the rise of maintenance. It's a very nice, slow growing curve over the decades, which you can look up, and that keeps going up, right? And so this is not a situation where, you have to address the entirety, both the building and build a home that is actually much, like 10 times easier to maintain, right? And cost like 10 times less to maintain. So this is what we've come up. So I started reaching out into the industry. I met Steve. Steve said, yes, I agree, which is very rare for Steve to say, right? And he will tell you very frankly when he disagrees and why. And it's all based on fundamental principles of materials, energy, all of the basic physics. And we cracked it, and we went principle by principle, and we laid out a solution that does not necessarily lock you into a specific aesthetic. So I'll show you what we have right now. There is a specific aesthetic, but it opens up to a number of materials and a number of styles. But what it does guarantee is visibility into the total cost of ownership before and once the house is built and run.
So, Gon, why are homes so expensive? I know we want to go from gas to electric, and we know utility costs are up. But is it just the utility cost that is the main factor in homes?
No, I think let's talk about first cost for a second, right? And we just talked about industrialized construction, and I think that's going to be a great help. So let's take a step back. So you know this, right? But I'll just kind of paint the picture in my words, and you tell me what you think. So our industry is not only fragmented, it also has a linear process. So it has fixed steps that are happening at each step of the way. So when you want to, so it starts with the raw extraction of material, then you are a supplier, then you're a distributor, you have the distributor, then you have the specifier, is going to actually find the distributor to use for the material specified by the architect. Before the architect, you have the owner or the developer. It kind of depends on the situation. And then ultimately at the end, you have the user of the home, who may or may not be the home owner, maybe a tenant. Or so this long chain keeps the customer very, very far removed from any of the decision happening up until they get the end result. And in the US, it's quite extreme because it's a developer-led building industry. So there's very few people that get any say in the design of their home. Right? Now, we talked about why is it so expensive. So along this journey, there is markups. Everyone has to get their margin. And so this is total sum of markups is about 35%, 30 to 35%. If you compare it to any other industry, they are well below. Like if you take a product on Amazon, right, that has a 10 to 15% markup from the raw materials. So this is a way to look at it and to synthesize it. So what we've done is we're creating regional networks with specific suppliers, which we believe have products that are good for people and for planet. Yeah. And we hand select them, we vet them. Right. So if we will talk maybe about bamboo. So we won't take any bamboo. We will look at the sourcing. We will make sure it's actually local, that there is, why does it have to be local? To reduce the risk of delivering on time, right? And as we know, we build contingency budgets at the very tail end here. We build contingency budgets that are 12, 17%, 25%, on projects, because we know that we don't control the entire supply chain. And so we're trying to get rid of these inefficiencies by going regional, vertical, and very well integrated in a design solution that still gives the customer some choice, but not an endless amount of choice, right? So that it stays within realistic and cost-effective boundaries.
It's funny when you talk about this 35% markup, with traditional site building, it's because there's so many unknowns and they still want to reach their profit margins. So I want to clarify so people understand that, it's a high markup. It really is. But there's a lot of risk the way we're building now versus the way you're looking at building. You're able to reduce that risk, which reduces the cost, so on and so forth. So, I think that's a super, important point to make, especially if you're a consumer watching the show, right? You're not getting gouged to death. It's just kind of the norm because they're happy if they walk away with 15, 20% if everything goes well.
Yeah. I think it's all about predictability.
Yeah.
Right. And you can, if you are working, so our company is working ahead of time to reduce those risks. And so we increase predictability. And so that our margin of price setting between builder, us, and the customer is much, much, much lower. So our contingency budgets, we will start with 10%, but hopefully over time we can reduce them even further.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So all right. So where do you start with this then? Let's talk about, the process. And I know you have your website, you're going to show us some stuff, but what is the solution to this?
Shall we show it?
Yeah, let me put it up.
Let me, I'll restart the whole animation. You can see how it gets built. So you have a grid frame, right? And which takes care of the gravity loads, right? Which are all over the world the same, right? Roughly the same. And we have, for lateral forces and for seismic activity, hurricanes, etc., we have certain walls that can be strong walls, they can be shear walls, right? And then besides that, the rest is free. So there is no load-bearing capacity on any of the other walls, right? Exterior walls and interior walls. This gives you a freedom to not only build the home faster, but also and also increase productivity for your team because all of the components are the same. But also flexibility, most importantly, for the homeowner, who is going to be able to have the home evolve with them, right? Maintenance reduced, everything modular, disassemblable. So this is a product that is much closer to how we maintain any other product that we have. You can open it up without breaking it, and we literally break into walls to repair the plumbing. That just blows my mind.
It's cheaper to hang a TV over the hole then instead of hiring somebody to fix it. That's right.
Yeah. And so we've designed it upfront and selected partners and suppliers that provide, for example, the raised floor system. So all of the piping is in the raised floor system. There is no wiring in the walls. Makes for a lot faster installation. Right?
Can we go back to the animation where we're showing that floor drop in?
Sure.
So it looks like a beam system that goes into place. So can you tell us how that beam system works and what the foundation is? Because is that sitting on a bed of gravel?
Yeah. So the first thing, so let's start with the foundation, right? So what we said is, we know we have to stop pouring concrete, right? And it's actually it's not only bad for nature. We're just running out of this material. So at some point there is no more sand from the riverbeds and the shores available on the planet. And we need to start shifting. Now, there is an alternative. There are known alternatives. And one of them is the helical pile foundation, right? And that actually works really, really well. It's a very light footprint on the soil below you, and so it makes for a very, very strong connection with the bedrock. So your home now, you need to build in some seismic pads, right, in some of the regions. So this thing it's going to move. It's very well attached to the ground, right? So you want to bolt it to those helical piles, and then allow for with seismic pads, allow for mobility. So that's that. Now that takes care of your base, right? You have your base, which typically would be solved with a slab on grade. And so we have this as an option, right? So if your local builder prefers to use that method, you can agree to that and build like that. We would recommend you the helical pile foundation, which is also cheaper to put in. There is less earthworks involved there. Second, once you have the base, it's about making a very rigid, very strong structure for your home. So we are innovating there. And now I say innovating, but also getting lots of inspiration from millennia of experience in building homes from Korea, Japan, and Chinese. They know how to use timber connections. And so we're working with a number of companies to actually develop our grid frame system that is going to be very, very robust. So that now you have your grid frame, and then you have the elements of the envelope and the interior partitions, which can be positioned anywhere on the grid.
So they can be positioned anywhere on the grid. And how do they lock together? Are they bolted together?
Yeah, so the ideal would be a dowel connection, right? That would be if you work with a timber or bamboo, that would be a dowel connection.
Yep.
We'll also develop, so we don't have it yet, but we'll also develop a steel frame, which will be bolted, right? So that you can always disassemble and modify and make for repairs. So even in the worst situation, you can salvage most of the components, right? And this is how the Chinese and Japanese came up with their approach of connecting timber.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, so the floor system, I should put it back up there, is
yeah, let me show you
as well. So you basically have a hollow space in the floor that's allowing
right.
you to run your heat. Oh, look at that. So it's radiant heat.
Right. So optionally, you can have radiant heat built in. So for those who haven't heard of radiant heat, I'll just explain it briefly. So we all know HVAC. Do you mind, Dave? I'll do a little sidebar on heating and cooling. So we all know HVAC, right? So this is heating, ventilation, and cooling, right? HVAC. Okay. So heating and ventilation and cooling are all combined in one system, in an HVAC system that focuses on air, right? So what it's trying to do, it's going to bring you fresh air from the outside, and it's going to set it to the temperature, the desired temperature, and then push this air through your space, right? Your home. And so we all know the feeling that you get, when you're next to the HVAC system or whatever your duct, you're nearby the duct, and you feel the hot air. And then as soon as like a second passes, or maybe the system stops or so, suddenly you chill, right? You get cold. So what's happening here is that we often say that hot air rises, but actually the air hasn't moved, right? It's actually the heat that's rising. So there is a notion called heat transfer, right? So heat moves through materials. And so you may have heard about thermal mass, right? So thermal mass is a concept that combines the ability of a material to absorb heat and keep it, and the speed at which the heat is moving through that material. So we talked about air, and I will just reveal it to you. Air is the material in our ecosystem that has one of the lowest thermal mass. What this means is that the air around you, right, in the example I gave, is losing heat faster than any other material. So the heat is moving up very, very fast, and you lose it right away. So what a radiant, so far so good, Dave?
Yeah, so keep going.
Yep. What radiant heat says and does, the theory is, wait, why don't we take a material that has the highest thermal mass so that we can retain the energy that we have spent in heating this material, and we can leverage the heat for much longer, right? It can stay with us in our home, right? What material is that? That's water. Water has the highest thermal mass of all materials. We've heard of concrete having a high thermal mass. Sure, concrete and stone are phenomenal materials that have a high thermal mass. Water beats them, right? So when you insulate water, and you see those red pipes, right? These are insulated piping that where water runs in them. It's a closed system, so there is no leak, right? It's a one thread. And you heat up the water, and we can talk about where the energy is coming from in a second. You heat up the water runs in your floor, the heat rises, goes into, in our case here, this is volcanic stone, right? It's called basalt. You may be familiar with it. We chose basalt in this case because it's a locally available material on the West Coast. It's available in Seattle and around that area. So that will be the recommended high thermal mass finish that we recommend. You can also choose to layer a timber or wood or another finish on top of it. But so this is the way that the heating works, and it heats up your entire home uniformly. You don't even need to heat up the second floor, right? It just heats up your entire home from one system.
How do you cool your house?
Good question. So first things first, right? So cooling drops, right? So it goes from top to bottom. So you would say, could you use the same system to cool your home? Well, you can, and it does have an effect even from the floor, but it's not as efficient, right? So in places where you want to have active cooling, for example, in the Californian climates, or in Texas, or there, in those places, you want to think about having an active cooling component. We recommend to use a mini split system that has that indeed focuses on air. There is a lot of innovation in that space, and so what we're doing is we're working with those companies that are using actually higher thermal mass materials in their mini split systems to cool the air. So it's a combination, and it depends on the climate in your region.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. All right. Let's get to the structure some more. So we got a modular foundation, I guess a grade beam system that we're putting in place, whether it's with helical piles or we're gonna put our beams together that we can build our house on. There you go. So and then we're gonna do the structure the same way as we did the beams for the flooring and for the support of the house.
Yep, correct. So the base is the same system as the rest of the home, right? So as a builder, you have two choices, right? Either you order all of the pieces, right, and one of our partners will produce them for you. So there is the whole thing is that it's very close to your industrialized construction pitch, but it's executed differently because the builder has control on what's happening. The builder is in contact with the customer, has an online experience on Era where they can see exactly all of the materials, and they can make an assessment with us on exactly how much it's going to cost with a much more higher fidelity. And so then they can order the materials. They can decide to order raw materials and cut it themselves if they want to do that, if they have the capability to do that, or to get them all pre-cut and ready for assembly.
And if they're all pre-cut, I'm assuming they're all labeled, numbered, and that's how they show up at the job site.
That's right. Yep.
How about the wall systems themselves? What are you doing for wall systems? What are you doing for air barriers and for installation?
Yep. So our approach is to partner with the industry, right? So every region has a selection of suppliers, and as you know, many suppliers are raising. So if they were producing raw materials, they're trying to produce components. If they were producing components, they're now trying to produce entire systems, structural systems, wall systems. So we saw what's happening, and we think it's fantastic. There's a lot of innovation with new materials for stronger insulation, thinner walls, etc. And so for us, this is a cooperation and a collaboration with our suppliers in terms of dimensioning and sizing, so that all of the components talk the same language, and are basically sized in a way that can be assembled together.
So if does a plan go out? So walk me through the process with the industry partners. Like say I'm the sheetrock guy, or the wall guy, or the installation partner. Do they have a specific diagram that helps them understand the system
Yep.
and how it's all going to kind of fit into place? And is their system also going to become modular?
Yep. So indeed, that's right, Dave. So what the way we look at the industry is, sure, there is a destination where a lot happening off-site, things are coming to site, ready to be mounted. There is a fast assembly, but we believe this is a transition. There is right now between 300 every year. There's between 300 to 400,000 building companies all over the U.S. And that's just the U.S. Right? We'll also operate in Canada. There are many builders, and so we want to take them, and we believe that somebody should take them through the journey of actually, adopting the new methods of construction at their own pace. So they can choose whether to prefabricate certain pieces or not. And we are developing software to help them make these decisions. And they can often fall back to a traditional approach. Of course, they'll let the customer know.
Yeah.
If they're going for a traditional stick frame, they will have to let the customer know, and we will know about it. So the entire experience is there to help streamline those decisions and to give power where it needs to be with the builder, and where it needs to be with the customer.
Who is the customer?
Great question. So Americans haven't been building their own homes, like we said, right? This is completely new, right? Yeah. So it's starting, and there are many companies, neighboring companies in our space, that are starting to say, this is the best way to buy a home, right? And they're intentionally not using the word build because, customers, the market isn't used to being self-builders, right? We say self-builders, right?
Yeah.
So we think there's a little bit of education, but we do think price and cost is the main driver. So at the moment, as you know, almost nobody can afford to buy anything. Rents keep rising. Yeah. And so the situation is getting more and more dire. And as the Fed is showing us, it's not going to stop. It's going to continue. So we think there is an urgent need. We are not, we're very realistic about the market. We think it's a journey. The American markets is going to have to wake up to, hey, we got to start building better. I want to make a better investment, right? If I'm buying a home, I want to make sure I'm buying something of quality. And you see numbers start to come up from other countries. In the UK, manufactured homes and green homes are starting to average at a higher price point, right? Yeah. So they are seen by the market as more valuable, probably because that market has a little more awareness, perhaps, being closer to Europe and those ideas. But I think with what's happening this week, with the fires in Canada going through all over New York,
that's right,
is starting to wake people up. A few weeks ago, California had waves of rain and storms pouring all over. So people are waking up to the fact that we need to build better, and they're going to look for solutions.
Yeah, there's definitely a need for it with the wildfires, hurricanes, everything's picking up, and it seems like the disasters are more and more these days that are happening and affecting our housing market, along with the rising cost of products and the affordability of these homes. Walk me through what comes with your house, right? Because we talked about the structure, we talked about the floor system, we talked about hydronic radiant heat, the flooring and the heat. What we didn't really talk about is electrical and how all of that plays a part in the system that you guys are building.
Yeah. Yes. So we can explore one of the homes. Do you want to explore? So there's we have two models right now. So I'll give you a quick brief insight here on the two models. So one model is designed for a small group of people, I would say. And you could say, traditionally, you would say a family, or maybe this is a starter home. But we think there are many situations in which the first one is called the mono, could be a very good choice, right? So it has 3 bedrooms, it has a flex room. It's a really interesting model, and we can go and check it out here. You can see the layout. There is an open space. There is a few variants depending on how you prefer it, and there will be more. And this is the kind of communal space that you have here, with an open kitchen, very modern. And we're adding materials as we're assigning suppliers. This is an example of a flex space, which can be used in different ways. Let me see. You asked about what comes with the home. So I'll show you an example here. So the furniture can come with the home. So you could order furniture along with the home. Mm-hmm. The base of the home is the technical floor, a solar roof, and the structure of the home. We help you get through permitting and all of that. So we guide you through the entire process. You have an online experience. And you can choose options like having a small shower, in this case, in a room, to have a mini suite. This room, for example, would be for maybe a growing teenager, right? That would start to need their own privacy, right? And this is a variant maybe when they're younger and they don't have their own bathroom. So these options are available to you in an interactive online experience. So you can, from comfort of your home, together with your family, your group of people or friends, you can kind of start shaping a home for you. Am I answering your question? Do you have other thoughts?
Well, how about the electrical on these, right? Is there electrical run like in the walls? Are they wiring harnesses?
Yeah. So let me show that for a second. Yeah. So electrical, let me show you here, I think. Yeah, here you can see the electric. So all of the electricity is running into the floor. And so you can see here below the bed, there are outlets, right? And so the outlets, instead of being in the wall, they're in the floor, mm-hmm. right? And this is for a very good reason. We're just saving a huge amount of hassle of running wires through all of the walls across your entire home. And the reason is the design for flexibility. We want to allow you to modify this home, to easily repair the home. So the floor is a modular product, right? It's a product produced by a company. It's not ours. It's a partner that produces these floors, and we have selected them and specified them. And then you see the switch on the wall. Yeah. Also does not have wiring. It's a wireless switch. This technology is available. Why don't we use it and save ourselves so much hassle in laying out wiring through all of the walls, right? So,
I love it. Yeah, makes sense to me.
The price tag on the wireless, you think, oh, it must be like 10 times the price. It isn't. It's actually 3 times the price, right? So it's $50 instead of like 17 or so for a switch.
Minus all the electrical labor to have to install wires and run inspections and everything else.
Correct. There you go. Same with the roof, right? Same principle with the roof. We say if you go for a full solar roof, these are available today. In the Bay Area, there's a fantastic company called Forward Energy, and they do full solar roofs. And it's not just Tesla, right? There are more companies producing those all across America, and it's going to keep going. So helping you select a roof that you like, the aesthetics of, you like the performance. It's ventilated. It's so to increase the electric capacity that it's producing. And you don't need shingles. You're saving all of this installation money, energy, maintenance of having a different roof. Now it does both take care of washing off the water. Maybe you have a water collection system. We offer that as well as an option. All right. So rainwater harvesting is going to be very important, as we see in situations like Phoenix, where this week they announced that they're preventing any new builds because they're running out of water. So it's really important to think about what's happening and make sure that you're investing in a home that's going to have longevity, and it's going to be useful to you and your family for generations.
Yeah. Was that roof on that house? Was that a solar roof?
Correct. Yep. This is a
standing seam roof.
Yep. Correct. It's designed on purpose, and there are companies now like really investing in making this more and more acceptable as a solution in the marketplace.
Talk to me a little bit about sustainability versus, selling durability and resilience. Are you getting a sense, from like your suppliers or customers, if they're talking about a smaller carbon footprint, less embodied or operational carbon, or are they talking about a house that resists the natural disasters you referenced earlier, a home that is durable and resilient?
So this is a complex debate as you've started kind of laying all the cards on the table.
Yeah.
So everything you said matters. Yeah. So the amount of emissions emitted to extract the raw materials, produce the base material with which you're going to make the wall component, let's say, or the roof component, all of that matters, right? So the more upfront energy is kind of expelled and spent, the more emissions out there, and the less sustainable. Now the other end is durability. So we think they are important, and it is definitely a very big challenge which we don't have solved on running the numbers, and there is gazillion companies popping up left and right to help calculate and run all the numbers. Great. We don't think we need to boil the ocean. Like, we actually know how to protect a wall so that it is more durable, and that is less strained by decades of rain. We know how to do this, and when I say we, I mean architects. And just a disclaimer: I'm not an AIA architect, right? So I'll leave that to the real architects. I have a fairly limited experience, but we have architects on the team, and this knowledge is there. We know how to build homes whose facades are protected from the rain, with overhangs and all different kinds of techniques. The way you lay, if you use a timber, if you use a different material, how you lay the materials, so that you're reducing the amount of damage over the I want to say years, but really it's decades. So that's the way to approach durability. I think there is a technological set of companies that are innovating in materials, and that's fantastic. I think it's really, really good, but this is not the whole story. So what we have set out to do is connect, really use the latest and best materials and offer these choices to customers, but also leverage the millennia of architectural experience and make it available to customers, something that today only a very, very small percentage of homeowners can afford to actually hire an architect with a sustainability and durability mindset.
Yeah, for sure. You're working with some leading edge building product suppliers, and new building materials. You mentioned like structural bamboo, for example. I think you mentioned stone fiber insulation, or stone as an example. How did you go about sourcing these materials?
So I would say we're at the beginning of that journey, right? So when I say our ambition is to cover all of America and Canada, sure, but there is always a starting point. We are a startup, and so we are focusing on opening region by region, right? So the structural bamboo company, for example, that we work with, Renewtech, that is a very particular company that is actually able to source the material regionally, meaning in the continent, right? So the raw bamboo is grown, it's guadua bamboo, and it's grown in Mexico. There are plantations of bamboo that started to happen in Florida. There is a very large plantation in Florida that's happening, but those products aren't on the market yet. So Luke's company, Renewtech, has been doing this for 2 decades, I think, and they have a wonderful, fantastic expertise. So we are very proud to be working with them on one of the option of our structural system.
Geographically speaking, what regions do you see your market for Era?
Yeah, so we're going market first, so we're going demand first. So we will connect builders with customers wherever they appear. So at the moment, we're planning to do outreach on the coasts, but it may vary. We may get surprised and see data that there is demand from in other places.
When can we expect to start seeing the product?
Well, we're gonna keep pushing and go as fast as we can. Yeah, you know, it's the beginning of a journey. We're super excited, and we are very pleased to be working for our customers, right? So it's just a joy to, you know, we launched you know, a few days ago, and you know, over a weekend we basically have more demand than an architecture office has, right? So we're already kind of beating what an architecture office is able to do, and I'm very excited about this beginning of this journey. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I mean, because you guys haven't been putting a whole lot out there, you know, so word must be traveling that you're on to something new and exciting for sure.
Yep. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, no, we're super excited.
Don, is there anything that I didn't cover that you really want people to know about the company? I don't want to wash over anything. I want you to use this opportunity to really kind of put it out there.
No, I think this was a really good set of questions. I think we went through pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, Dave.
And how do people get a hold of you? Era.green?
Era.green. Yeah, go and check it out, try it out. We're going to be launching an interactive configurator, so you can have more freedom. There will be many more models. So that's something that's coming in the future.
Yeah, perfect. I got a question here I want to pop up from Henry Mickelberg. Not sure if you know Henry. He said the floor sockets are a pretty brave option. Have you engaged, surveyed customers to confirm if they prefer this option to wall sockets? Also, I thought that the floor sockets were no-nos in kitchens and wet rooms in certain EU countries.
Yep, good questions, Henry. Thanks. So first of all, I would say clear no, we have not surveyed. And why? And I will tell you, this is the spirit of our company. So this single choice reduces the cost so dramatically that we think the customers will accept it. So that's number one. And then second, the sockets are protected, so the water can't get in. So yeah.
Got it. Thank you for that, Henry. Always appreciate it. We got a bunch of people that are tuning in. Here's some from LinkedIn. Amy Ellison Osberg, architect. How are you, Amy? Good to see you out there. Oh, there you go. No stranger to the danger. Stephen Basic, also a high-end architect, does a lot of passive house design and high-efficiency designs across the country, maybe even around the world. I think he might be global at this time, which is awesome. Felipe Hartley, how are you? Thank you for joining us today, Felipe. Looks like we may have somebody from your team pushing the website there. Athena Morse, thank you, Athena. And Todd Usher, he didn't really comment. He's just saying hi to Jen in the background, who's busy managing all this. And Henry Mickelberg and a bunch of you on YouTube and Twitter as well. So John, thank you so much for joining us today. We got so much going on. I hope to see this product on the mall in Washington, D.C. next year. We're going down for the Housing Innovation Showcase. That ought to be pretty cool.
You bet. Absolutely.
Yeah. First of all, listen, thank you. Stay right where you're at. I got a couple announcements for everybody else here. So just so everybody knows, we are heading to Washington, D.C., so we will be down there starting tomorrow, bringing you all the highlights from the Housing Innovation Showcase in the Washington, D.C. Mall, and also with the International Codes Council in their summit. So super excited to bring all that to you, so stay tuned. We'll be going live. That's right, live Saturday morning on the Washington, D.C. Mall. We're going to show you live what's happening and what's down there, so that ought to be great. Also, the following weeks, we will be back in Las Vegas the week of the 15th. That's right, back in Las Vegas. So stay tuned. I'll bring you some special coverage there. The week after that, we are Monday going to be at Steel Horizons. That's right. We'll be at Steel Horizons. I think that's on the 22nd. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but you want to check that out. But this Monday coming up, you want to talk about a heavy hitter coming on the show, somebody that knows how to do change, somebody that has lived through change. That's right. Monday, June 12th, best-selling author, Dr. Nadia Zexembia. I hope I said that right. Zexembia, I think is how we say it. So, hey, listen, it's all about chaos. Reinvent yourself, reinvent your company, reinvent the world. This is somebody that has grown up in a war-torn country, has come to this country and has made a big difference and speaks to all the Fortune companies around the world. Super cool stuff. Wouldn't you say, Gon? Yep.
Yep. Looks super interesting. Yep.
It's going to be great. Gon, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you joining us. To the rest of you out there, thank you for tuning in, Dave Cooper Live. Here's a couple more words from our sponsor. Everybody else, have a great day. Bye now. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.